Good morning, good morning, good morning. Up we go. As you can see now, I made a mistake the other day. When they were doing the construction on that building over there, they had the cherry picker up there doing the lights. And I said at the time, I told you a lie, I could see from here. I said they had hung some white tissues or something on the power line just so the cherry picker guy can see it and wouldn't hit it with his bucket. That was wrong. It's our New Year's decorations. The guy who runs the little business association here, it's the owner of the Whale restaurant down the street here. He's really, he doesn't want to spend so much money. so our New Year's decorations for this street are as skimpy as they come. As absolutely skimpy as they come. And that string, with a few little pieces of straw hanging from it and 4 little things that were blessed by the shrine, he probably paid like $10 or something for it. I don't know. That's the entrance to our street. A little, just it's the barest possible minimum you could possibly do. Whatever, such it is. That's like, I couldn't complain. If we'd had the guy who decides to spend all kinds of money to his friends who prepare special decorations, it would be worse. So whatever, no big deal. Anyway, that's what it was. The bottom camera, I got fooled. I thought they were there because of the cherry picking. It's not sizing. We're upstairs. The guy in the window is not on holiday. He's there. He's just in a different location. He's at the left-hand side there. Let me put it back up here. The guy that you normally see in the window, you can still see him. He's the guy at the left there. Now here's the setup. We're going to try this. We're going to try this. Printing. It's been a long time since we had a printing stream. I'm partway through this. I'm not going to start right now. I've been up and at it for a while here for a half an hour. Paper is out. It's my paper. So not a green screen. It's a real street. Of course it's a real street. Okay, as we mentioned when we were talking about this the other day, I can print, but I'm going to have, if the chat gets busy, I will have less chance to look at the chat because I have to keep going to a routine here. Normally when you're printing, the moisture on the block is critical, and if I print, go, read the chat 30 seconds, by the time I come back the block is dried out and it's difficult to continue. But today is a little bit different. The block we're doing today is a flat, you can see it. It's a flat, almost a flat beta band. It's got a few things carved out of it. And it's also a block that we're going to print, I'm going to print almost gomazuri. It doesn't need a smooth, beautiful, wonderful tsubushi like you were trying to print a kimono or something. So it's okay. It's actually quite an easy going thing. I can splash some water on and it won't matter. So it's a good way for me to get back into this after years, literally years of not doing any main production work. I did the octopus last year, but that was it. So before I started, I teed up the mods. The mods have got links to the image that we're doing here today. They can show you that stuff, chat with you about it. And mostly you're going to see the top of my head, I guess. I'm going to get my exercise today. And this is what impression number 1 looks like. Nothing dramatic here. It's a base. This picture is going to build up, build up, build up. And the only difficult part for me here today is to make sure I don't let it get too dark. The pigment is just, it's a black sumi pigment just in water. And now that you've seen it, you've seen everything. I'm now going to do this 100 times. There's 100 sheets in the stack today. So The block is still a bit dry actually. It's still a bit dry. Things actually are all backwards, and people are watching this thinking, how should this be done? Dave's doing some silly things. I'm left-handed, but this is a right-handed bench. This is Ayumi-san's bench upstairs, and it's a right-handed bench. The extension here, the bench is in the middle, with an extension on the right where the Baron normally goes for her to grab with her right hand. I'm a lefty, so I've tried to jam it in at the left-hand side here. Normally as a lefty, all my tools here, the brushes and pigments that are here, would be on the left side. They come up with my left hand, and when I take the paper off, it goes over on the right side against the light. But this is backwards, so I'm doing silly things like this. Putting the brush on, reaching all the way over here, putting it away, when of course it should be just right here by my left hand. Touch lightly first, get it pasted down, and then dig in. Block still dry, so a bit of water, paste, touch of pigment. My hand reaches. My hand tries to find the brush over there. 40 years of practice picking it up over there. This is crazy. Last year when I did the octopus up here, I used Sugi-san's bench for it, and the whole thing, all week, I'm reaching to the left-hand side of this. The other downside about that left-handed business, it really, really is difficult. If a young person came here to be a printer, to train, and she was left-handed, I'd say just go away. I'm sorry. You can't become a good printer in this traditional field here, working for us as a lefty. And right here's the difference. The registration mark is here. As a lefty, my main power is to do this. I'm going to pretend. Pull, 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 pull. That's the way you can really put power in this. But that would pull it out of the registration mark. It's designed for right-handed people to sit here and go pull, pull, pull. So I can't do that. So I'm pushing. Touch down and push, push, push. And you get nowhere near as much pressure as you do from a good stroke with your shoulder. If a real printer was here, Kubota-san, one of the old guys, if he was here, he'd just be laughing. He'd just be sitting here holding his guts. He'd be laughing so hard. You can't do that. Then here at the end, instead of pulling, I'm circling to try and avoid sliding it out. If you're by yourself over there, some other part of the world, and you're a lefty, and you're only going to do your own blocks and nobody else is going to print them, then you can cut the line at this side and pull into it. But for us, where our blocks are going to get used by many people down the years, can't do that. So whatever can't be helped. block is dry. It's still thirsty. It's drinking, drinking, drinking. It'll drink for the first 15-20 minutes or so. What's stopping? Well, there's no place to put the brush. The brush right now sits on this platform. There's a flat platform at the right. This bench is angled. If I put the brush here, it's going to, it might stay. We can try it. Right? No, it's going to stay. It's going to wander. The brush, the desk is tipped. In my own world, there's a flat table here with my own pigments, and the brush sits flat on the table here. That's why my hand keeps reaching to that place. And then the paper goes over this side. In Ayumi-san's world, I'll muck the camera later, is a flat table on the right hand side. I guess I could get a piece of cardboard or something, build a little flat angle here, whatever. The paper, I moistened the paper yesterday morning, and this is midwinter. It's as dry as it gets. So I had to really slather water onto it. And when I came back in the mid-afternoon to check up on it, found it was still not moistened enough. So I put more water on it and restacked it yesterday evening. The table is tilted for the best use of pressure. In fact, what I should actually, I should be up a bit more. The idea with the table tilted, you've got if it was flat or pushed away, I'd be always pushing like this, and it would be a lot of pressure on the wrist here, pushing. By having the table tilted, it actually my table in Ome is tilted much more. It's really steeper angle. So when I'm rubbing with the Baron, my hand is even at an angle like this, and I'm actually sort of pulling towards my guts. And it's much easier to put pressure on. You're not pushing away at something, you're just rubbing. And the big key here is your wrist is absolutely straight. That's the key here. If this table wasn't tilted, or if you're working at a table standing up, your wrist would be like this. You'd be rubbing on a table, and you'd kill yourself. Absolutely. After a few minutes of this, you'd be done, cooked. Block is drying while I'm talking. Imagine doing this 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, whatever, all day long. Any slight problem with an angle or something, and you are a dead duck. Every time my hand still goes over there. 40 years of training. So questions, I don't know, questions. Yes, it's the three things that are going on. A little dab of water. We don't really need the water mostly. Once I get going today, this will not be used. It's simply the block is still dry. So I need some water a lot of the printers don't keep a separate water cup. They've got their brush here. The water brush is nearby, which I'll be using on the paper later. You'll see that. And they'll use the water brush, chop, chop, to shake a bit of water onto the block. For convenience and for better control, we use just a simple cup with water. But again, that's just at the beginning here. Block is drying. Next is a paste, and the paste is it's paste. It's starch paste, a dab. And then today's pigment it's just literally it's sumi. It's the kind of stuff we use for a calligraphy brush. Just I can't tip it to you because it's too liquidy. It's just a bit of gray, light gray. Lease, yeah, we've renewed our lease. We're up and running. This shop is empty, but we're going to just bite the bullet, hoping that eventually people come back. So our overall business was good enough this past year, that we can afford to have an empty shop and we can still survive. Will the colors be the same as previous batches? You mean the prints I made before? Yes, the goal is to match exactly. I've got a sample here up in front of me. There's a sample in front of me clipped here right all the time. And it's the same sample I used, whatever it was, 11 years ago when I made this print. So there's no creativity going on here at all. This is not Dave making something up. I'm trying to get the print made exactly the same as before. This is not artistic work, this is printing. Printing. And as I said, there's 100 sheets, so what I've got, it's in 5 groups. There's newspaper, printing paper, newspaper, printing paper. I've got them in 5 groups of 20 in the deck in front of me here. So it's not artistic work; it's printing. This is physical labor. It's like there's a guy who designs a building, and there's a guy who starts digging ditches to put the building there. I'm the ditch digger here. This is just putting things together. There's no decisions here. This is simply, doing the work. The designing and everything else was done. I did it 11 years ago. This is manual labor. That's the first 10 sheets, and they're laid out very carefully. I will now take the next 10 sheets, put them on top of those, then newspaper, then more prints, then newspaper. The barrel rotation, this is key, this is key. This thing's going to dry out. It dries out so easily. Oh, I don't have an empty barren to show you. Whatever, somebody can find an image of one, it's no problem. Inside the barren is a coil with high spots. And if I don't rotate it, the high spots, because they stay in the same place all the time, the high spots of the coil break through the skin and you get holes in the skin. By rotating it, whatever, you guys can answer, of course. John's got it, I can just keep quiet. So the 100 sheets in the stack, and there's going to be 15 impressions. This is number 1 of 15. So there's 1,500 impressions to make. Count down. 1499, 1498, 1497. Very peaceful, pleasing work, actually. Very peaceful, pleasing work. I've got 4 days here now. Today's the 31st here. 31st, 1st, 2nd, 3rd. Staff's coming back on 4th. So I've got 4 days to do this. I don't know if it's going to be finished in 4 days. 15 impressions. I've got other work to do as well. I've got to do the color separations on the cat series, the Nekohake, the 8 Views of Cats, number 3. The key block is finished. It arrived here yesterday. I thought I'd have another week for that, but no, it arrived here yesterday. And she would like the color separations ready for her when she wants to get back to work on Monday. So the next couple of days I also have to do all the color separations for that. And it's a difficult Shin Hanga print. I don't even know what I'm going to do on that one yet. But yeah, number 3 in the Nekohake series is coming to life. The name of the shop over there, it's Yamaka Shoten. Yamaka Shoten. The first character is Yama, mountain. The second one is, it's, I don't know the root meaning of it. It's pronounced Ka, Yamaka Shoten. And the last 2 characters are Shoten, place of business. And that doesn't tell you anything about what they do. Yamaka Shoten could sell woodblock prints, whatever. You don't have any idea. It doesn't tell you anything. But there's another sign. We can't see it. It's not lit up. The white sign says Yamaka Shoten, then it says Sakeba, place to sell sake, or alcohol in general. And it's my understanding, actually, this is a local company that's been here for many, many, many years. So they're just using their name, Yamaka Shoten. I think their main business is probably something else. They may sell booze, wholesale, or something like that. I have no idea. No. Ba. Sake ba is location. Ba, basho. Place. Which kozo is being used. The paper we're using is all made for us. All of our paper that for the prints we sell, all of the paper is made by Iwano Ichibe's family. It's 100% kozo paper, mulberry. The jumper, yeah, came back to show I found it. I think it's been a couple of years since we've seen this. I stole it from my dad's closet, I guess, or he gave it to me one of the years, whatever. Back in the days, before my dad passed away a few years ago, we were visiting. I used to visit him every winter. And I guess, I don't remember, it was chilly one day or something, I didn't have a jumper, so he grabs this. And says, take it home, so this is from my dad's closet. Do I remember when I started streaming? Ask John Becker, it'll be 1990, you tell me, no it wasn't, it was, just a minute, let me think about this. It was in the new workshop in Ome. I moved there in 2000. It took a couple of years to build the place. Maybe 2004, 2005, somewhere on there, I guess, I don't know. Ask John, he was back there. 2006, okay, whatever, you probably remember better than I do. I've got some of the streams on. I used to record them onto a CD, a DVD thing. So I've got some of them in a warehouse, in the Ome warehouse. this really is unlucky, you know, because this is such an easy block to get back to work at. After being off for years and years and years, to start with something difficult would be no fun. But this is a really easy startup for me. This is the kind of job you could give an apprentice after a few days, as long as you watched him, because he wouldn't be able to control the depth. I'm doing these are all coming up pretty much exactly the same. I'm varying the amount of pigment. If I see it a bit heavier, I put less on the next time. If I see it light, I put a bit more on the next time. And that's something a beginner wouldn't easily be able to do. So, how much pigment and paste to apply? So that's the only skill. So. As far as where to put the pigment and paste here, because this is all such a wet block, it doesn't really matter, just slap it on. You sort of want to avoid putting it in the same place too much all the time. If it's a dense pigment you're using, and if the block is at all dry, you absolutely can't put the pigment in the same place. Because it starts to build up there, it makes a mark. But with a wet, sloppy one like this, I'm just slapping it in the middle. I think what I'll do is I'm going to need more of this. So a question I've missed. The little house in the chat. It's not a lighthouse. It's got a light inside it. It's part of the decorations. You can see the deal from looking up top. The sidewalks are really wide here, and the street is really quite narrow. What they tried to do was they made the entrance to the street as narrow as they could. They don't want cars coming down here. This is still a car street. It's not one of those what they call pedestrian heaven streets where people are walking. It's really a car street, but we wanted to minimize, the people of the shopping area, we wanted to minimize the number of cars coming down. So the entrance, where that truck, he's turned right. If he'd come straight, and the deal is that lantern thing, it looks, when you're driving down the other side, you see the lantern, you see the little entrance, you think, I can't go in there, it looks like it's not a street. So you take your car and you go somewhere else, you go out of the way. So the idea is to make it a pedestrian sort of paradise street, but not for cars. And it's worked really, 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 really well. There's two of those lanterns, one at each end. The other one's right in front of Donkey. And I'm the guy who cleans its roof every month. That's my job. We all have various jobs assigned here. And because I'm one of the taller people in the community here, my job is to wipe and clean the top roof of that little lantern. First Tuesday of every month, starting at 10 o'clock, except January. John Becker there, he's a regular visitor here every couple of years or every year or so. Next time you're coming, John, make your visit on the first Tuesday in a month, 10 o'clock in the morning. Come and join us. Get to wear your blue 69 jacket. That's too dark, that's too much. This block still be thirsty. I guess so, after 10, 15 years, whatever it is, since it was last used. We use a ladder. We have a ladder that's stored over in the hotel. And my job is to do two things. I wipe the top of the two lanterns, and then my job now, I split with the other guy. The guy who runs one of the tendon shops, he's also fairly tall, about the same height as me. And we split the street half and half. There's a step ladder, and a lady has a bucket and a little cloth, and one of he or I, we take our turns, we go up the top of the ladder, and we wipe the comedian pictures. And then we wipe the bird shit off the top of the comedian pictures. There's pigeon crap on top of them every month. So he and I split that. He does the first half of the street, I do the second half of the street. And the little lady stands at the bottom of the bucket. We pass her the dirty cloth, she gives me a new one. Maintenance, maintenance. So those comedian pictures get washed every month. The top of them get cleaned every month. Everything we can reach. No, there's nobody directing traffic, and we're probably breaking the law by doing that. I don't know. Oh yeah, the spikes, pigeon spikes, it could be. It would be too ugly here, I think. In the train stations, that's a really big deal. For the train stations, it's a huge problem. Huge problem. They've got all these covered areas outside, the platform covers. And pigeons are a massive problem for them. So they use the plastic spikes, yes. Someone's asking about the desk angle. It's to give maximum pressure. It's to allow me to put maximum pressure on this with as minimum problem on the wrist. If the desk was flat and I'm leaning over, you'd be having more of an angle in your wrist, and that would be a killer. This isn't perfectly straight, but the idea is to get it as straight as possible. And this is the middle of winter, it's really dry here, so the paper stays in plastic, it's moist, it gets printed, it goes straight under plastic again. Can't hear any crows, I guess they're out there. Oh, I know, I turned off the outside mic, because I was worried. There's an air conditioner downstairs running. If I turn the outside mic back up, is that okay, or is there too much external noise? Let me know. That's the mic on the camera that's outside. I wish Chuck knows the routine here, you know. So. The community activity of cleaning up, it's normal, man. Every community in this country, every community. There's a bit of a twist on it here, because this is a business street. The streets, the street behind us, the back street, there's no businesses on it. It's the local community, the housewives and stuff. They do the same thing. What's different here is that a normal street, the community does the cleaning and all that sort of stuff. This is a commercial street, so we put money in it. The Merchants Association here collects money. We pay $40 a month, equivalent to $40 a month, into a pool. And capital builds up. And the decorations you see here, the comedian pictures, the special street lights, the tiles on the ground, the large sidewalks, these are paid for by the merchants. We put the money in and did that. It was a cooperative deal. It'll be three ways: the local merchants, the city hall, and then the prefectural office, who is trying to always do the, let's make a beautiful town together and stuff like that. So there's a big pool that we can draw from, as long as we put our own money in as well. So if you've got a community that has to get together to build stuff and do stuff, there's pool money available to help get it all to happen. And we pay the electricity for the special lights and stuff like that. The city pays the sort of basic level of stuff. But the cleaning and stuff, that's national. Just everybody does that. I'm in a little bit of, well, I can't say trouble, that's the wrong word. They understand my situation. I don't participate in the street cleaning back in Olmec, and I live there actually. I've got a house there, and these days I don't participate in any of the activities, the festivals or the street cleaning or whatever. But they understand my situation. They know that I'm not there, so it's okay. Okay, 20 are done. As I said, it's 100 sheets in here, broken into 5 groups of 20. 20 have now passed over, so we're going to take one of the newspaper sheets out of here. It's actually a little drier than it should be. I can tell by feeling it. This is midwinter, stuff is dry. So, got my water bucket here. Just rejuvenate the moisture a little bit. This is also critical, getting this right. The impression I just did actually put water into those sheets. So if the papers are coming out a bit dry, I'm adding moisture to it from this, so it's okay. If I wasn't adding too much, if the paper was coming out and I just printed a little tiny bit that took a little bit of a long time, the paper would dry out. I have to really add more, and maybe even before this, I would take the water brush here and add more water to the printing sheets. What I'm doing now, adding water to this newspaper and touching and feeding the paper, is going to set me up for the next time this afternoon. The goal is to keep the moisture in the paper exactly the same, top and bottom, beginning to end of the process. And it depends on the dryness of the air conditioner, how fast I am, how long each print is exposed, how much moisture goes into the print from the printing. There's a ton of variables coming in, and I take all that information and then I use my brush to bring it up to the same ending goal. No matter what the variations that came in, I adapt and make it so that that now is the same no matter what I was faced with at the incoming. It's for beginners, and for me when I was back in Canada trying to do it, it was astonishingly frustrating. What's wrong? It's only experience. There's nothing I can say. I can't measure it. It's only experience. We don't get, Japanese newspapers don't leach. I don't know about, a lot of Western newspapers are using some soy ink and something that dissolves, but here, Japanese newspapers are still using super high quality ink, and it doesn't leach out. If it did, if newspapers here were different, then we'd just have to use a different kind of paper for this. But as it happens, it doesn't come off at all. Oh, my mother's there. It's the casino, yes. So she knows this casino is gone, I guess, but I got this from Dad's closet, so. Good morning, Mom. She got a new printer. The print, by the way, thank you for, lots of people send me emails and stuff. Here's some hints for your mother on what to do. Thank you for the emails and for the concern. It seems that it was a mechanical problem. Paper was physically getting distorted, and my mother and her sister and my sister could not find anything wrong inside. They couldn't find broken plastic bits. They went through it again and again and again. So my sister just went out and just got a new printer for my mother. So things are back to normal. Thank you. having a printer like that is critical infrastructure for my mother. Critical. She prints out her newspaper puzzle, crossword puzzle, every evening. And whenever I'm visiting my mother, you know, it's not going to happen this month, obviously. I normally go in January, February every year. This year can't do that. Bedtime crosswords. So. And how embarrassing is it? You know, I go over there. I'm a, quote, smart guy. I sit there, have dinner with my mother. She gets her crossword, and she just, like, writes in the answers, top to bottom, top to bottom. And every now and then she'll show it to me and, like, maybe I can think about this. So she can out-crossword me any day of the week. Any day of the week. These are cryptics. If you want to look at it yourself, you can try this. It's the Globe and Mail, Toronto, Canada. And they have paid stuff, but they also have a free cryptic crossword 6 days a week. And you try it. And I cannot handle these. I can sort of get them, but you give me a week and I can maybe get one down. And my mother just sort of sits there and writes the answers in. It's also the deal before you go to sleep. It's supposed to be, you're supposed to relax and get ready for sleeping. She gets this cryptic and brain on fire, and then goes to bed. John's got it. Thank you, John. That's it. The other thing, it's a time zone thing. It's really funny. The Globe and Mail is based in Toronto, Canada, and their website clicks over at midnight. So the new crossword comes online in Toronto time at midnight. My mother lives in Vancouver, which is 3 time zones to the west of that. So she religiously, and I'm not telling any secrets here, it's okay, she would explain this to herself. She comes to her computer at 9 o'clock, 8:59 every evening, fires up the Globe and Mail website, downloads it, prints it out, goes back to the living room, sits there with a glass or something, and that's the crossword. It was perfect timing for her. But I'll bet you, if she lived in Toronto, she'd be there at midnight. Someone's asking me how old I am. Next year I'll be 70. I've learned not to talk about my age on Twitch. We are using a ton of water for this today because this is dry, middle of December. This is another thing to mention too. If people are here looking at this, who are maybe working on printmaking or trying to figure out printmaking or whatever, and this is David from 40 years ago, if I was seeing this, then I'd be making, okay, look, there's how much water, how much paste, I got it, good, now I see it. I can finally see a Japanese craftsman, I can see how much water, how much paste. That's just today, for this weather, for this size of paper, for this size of block, for this size. There's nothing, what you see me doing with every impression here is just calculated for this impression. Another impression might be a tiny dab of pigment, a tiny dab of space, whatever. Okay, next 20 sheets. Boy, I'm talking too much. I should be twice as far away through this as I am. Questions, Papa? Woodblock was not used for several years before today. How many days would it take? No, nothing. I just opened it up. The packaging is right here. I opened it up this morning. Just open them up, put the woodblock on the desk and get to work. It's dry, yes, it's drinking, but I can control that. I just put a bit more water on it and try not to talk too much. It just starts drinking, just it gets busy. It's a bit of a funny paradox. If it's too dry, it's no good. The pigment will be blotchy and speckled. But if it gets too soggy, then you don't get a good, crisp, clear impression. So there's sort of again, it's all a bit of this and a bit of that. It needs a drink, yeah, so exactly. There's something else too. So this is the first major day of printing for me in a long time. I can do this, but tomorrow I am going to feel it. It'll be here, this muscle on the back of my shoulder. When I wake up tomorrow morning, I will be feeling this, because I haven't done this in such a long time. So today's printing is easy. Tomorrow's is going to be not so much fun. There's 15 impressions on this block. I've got 15 colors to go. And very unusual, the key block on this one is coming last. It's not traditional ukiyo-e. The key block is coming last on this one. Something about the tool here, the Baron today, this is, I didn't specifically pick this. I brought 2 or 3 from the bench here. They've got a Baron box. I brought 2 or 3 over here to test out and see which one would be good for this impression today. It's wide, so we need a fairly strong Baron. If the Baron was a light, delicate one, it wouldn't put enough pressure on each spot. So we need a strong one. But this Baron today, moisten this up if I talk too much here. This was given to me, oh geez, I don't even know how many years ago. I know. "25 years ago or so, I guess. It's given to me by a little old guy. This was back when I lived in Hamaramachi. There was a community center there, and there was a printmaking group in the community center. Community people doing it. I worked together with them for a couple of years, 1986, 1987, when I first moved here. After I became a pro, whatever, there really wasn't too much time to join their projects and stuff. But for the first few years, I was a part of the little printmaking club and having fun together. And one of the things that amateurs do with printmaking here in Japan very, very much is they make their New Year's cards out of woodblock printmaking. These days it's inkjet to the max, but back then it was woodblock printmaking for people that were interested in it. So the members of this club, of course, they send woodblock printmaking cards, and I did the same thing. And one particular little old guy there, he was old then, he was like in his 80s or something, and he made his New Year's cards out of washi he had made himself from milk cartons. It turns out when you take milk cartons, you can scratch them up and boil them, whatever, and it makes a kind of a little pulpy stuff, and you make your little paper out of it. So I got his New Year's card one year, and a little letter inside said, "Hi, it's my own handmade card. We made it out of a milk carton." So I called him, or I visited him. I can't remember the exact setup, what we did, but I have in my workshop washi cutoffs. We buy large sheets of washi, make smaller prints out of it. We've got the edge all around and the bits we trim off and stuff like that. So I had boxes and boxes and boxes full of little tiny pieces of off-cut washi. And I had kept these thinking they would go back for recycling to the paper maker. I had called Iwano-san one day and said, hey, do you want these ready? Recycle? He says, sorry Dave, nice idea, but I can't use them. They're cut too short. So many of the fibers have been cut short that I can't use them in my washi. So I'm like, oh, okay. And then you can see where the story's going. Put two and two together. The old guy, I've forgotten his name. My God, I've forgotten his name. Azuma-san. Higashi Azuma-san. He happily took these boxes. He was over the moon. He took these boxes. And the next year's New Year's card, he writes the story, I got this stuff from Dave, and this year's print is made on beautiful handmade kozo washi, whatever. So this went on for years. I kept my offcuts, and every, whatever, it would be October, November, something, he calls, can I have some more this year? And I'm like, yeah, come on, haul them away, whatever. So I got his handmade New Year's card every year. He got his washi offcuts. We were really happy. He visits one year, and this, again, it's about 25 years ago, I guess. He visits one year, and he's visiting my house in November. And he says, Dave, I don't need the washi anymore. And he was old. He was like, came up to the door and he can like barely walk and stuff like this. And he was old. And he had brought his tools. He had brought his best Baron, he had two beautiful handmade Barons, bunch of brushes, and he said, I'm calling it a day, and you know, I don't have much time left, and if I just left it, my wife would throw this stuff out, so please take these things, and you know, and here it is. I'm still using this one. It's a gorgeous, he spent a ton of money on this 30 years ago. It's a beautiful Baron. It's been refurbished. I took it out to Goto-san a while back for refurbishing. He had to open the coil, rewind it, tie it up again neat, rewind it. And it's still in use, and it'll be long after I'm gone. Where am I? Did I put pigment on here? I don't know. That's the problem we get here. Goodness. Azuma-san. So I've got his New Year's card. It's all in a little pile somewhere. We've got his tools. And his name just gets remembered. This really, hontoni. You can't mess around with people and print at the same time. If this was a critical block, I'd have to be giving up because each one would have just too much variation. You can do this today because it's not a critical block. The gray can be a little bit of variation. We're okay. So John can see this is the same story. I'm having trouble here with the block drying out and the print parties. It's the same thing, you know. Jacques. Good morning, Jacques-san. Hello, hello, hello. So, Jacques got it. And the name I couldn't remember. Shimenawa. It's there. Yes, it's the cheapest, junkiest Shimenawa in the country. Jacques got a better memory than I do. I couldn't remember the word for that thing. Just for a second, just so you know what Jacques is talking about here. It's the string that's tied across. You've seen them. In the Totoro movie, there's this giant rope tied around a tree with twisted rice straw and beautiful white paper hanging down for it. This is the cheapest one in the country. Jacques, also, thank you for the Christmas card again this year. I don't know if actually, did you see or whatever, we opened your Christmas card with the Escher. You must be running out of choices, right? How many variations do they have? I don't know. There's something else you can see here too that's something interesting in the neighborhood here. The guys in the corner shop over there just rebuilt their shop, right? We've been watching this happen. Look at the ground. You can see from the door of the new shop, across the street up towards us, there's a black mark in the street. They put a new gas line in. And the guys who put the gas line in took their tractor and they just ripped up the street, all the Italian tiles that our group paid to put on the street. They ripped them up, threw them in a truck and tossed them. Put the gas line in, put some asphalt in and drove off. So all of our tiles, there's a big black ugly thing there now. All of our tiles are gone. And this is not my money, this happened before I came here, but those tiles were paid for and installed and built by the Merchants Association here. Our group includes that shop on the corner over there. Where's the tiles? Landfill. I'm not part of it, but there are discussions happening in the background. Okay, that's 30 sheets done. And I've got them in groups, just because I'm a control freak, whatever. But that's 30 done. There's 100 in the pack. So we're 30% of the way through this impression. It's 9 o'clock now, so we've been at this 1 hour, not exactly vigorously straight through. If I hadn't been talking, how many would I have got done? 40 maybe? I don't know. So you could, I suppose I'd done 40 if I was really paying attention to the work and ignoring you guys. I'd have 40 finished in an hour. There's 100, so that's 2.5 hours work. So there's 15 impressions altogether. So easily at this rate, 3 impressions on a day with a 15 impression print, 5 days work. So a peaceful 5 days if I was doing regular hours, like 9 to 5, that kind of stuff, whatever. Taking it easy. So you're looking at 5 days work for a printer to do this. And at the end of the 5 days, there we are with 100 finished prints. It's efficient, you know, it's really efficient. People are thinking that, oh my God, just hire a, printing press or stuff like this. It's actually not so bad. It's quite efficient. It's peaceful work. If you weren't here, I'd have the BBC on or something, or maybe I'd put my hard drive with the music on or something. Tom 1060, yes, I did watch the ending. Thank you for doing that. I hadn't remembered that at all, When I saw that clip you put up, I'm thinking, what is this? I'm sitting on the floor. What's going on? I didn't remember anything about that at all. Just as well, because if I had, I'd probably have tried to do something the same this year. Failed, so. Way to end the year, sitting on the floor in a grumpy mood or whatever. Oh. And that was 2019. Little did I know what was coming up. That's real sunshine now, not reflected. The sun is up in the top right-hand corner, shining down towards the left. The light we saw earlier was reflected light. That's raw sunshine now. We never get sunshine on this building. It's a narrow building in a deep street facing north, so we never get direct sunshine here in this room. Actually, that's not true. I think in midsummer, early 5 o'clock in the morning, the sun really does come. Is that the corner that has a shop that sells ice cream? No. ice cream around here. Oh no, I know what you mean. Yeah. No, it's the other way. The other end of the street, towards Donkey, in front of the Don Quixote shop, there's a chestnut shop, and they do ice cream. Is that the one you mean? That's the other direction. Yeah, there is sunlight here. It's like it's 5:30 in the morning in June and stuff, whatever. The Don Quixote stores, they're cleaned up these days. You know, they're nothing compared to what they used to be. It's before the fire. They were absolute chaos before the big fire, but now they're just normal shops. They also have this. They have this mood. We're the cheapest in town, and they're not. Nowhere near it. But people sort of buy into this. Getting a bit too dark, I think. Getting a bit too dark. Yeah. What fire? No, don't you know? This is not here in Asakusa. They had an Asakusa, they had an Akihabara shop. The pre-fire Don Quixote, and this is going back, I don't know, 15 years or something. Don Quixote used to be this deal where they brought in boxes full of stuff, and there were no aisles. It was sort of like the Costco type thing, but it was boxes of everything jumbled in a warehouse with no aisles. And just signs here. You'd fight your way through these boxes and try and get here, try and get there, stack stuff. You open it yourself, there's signs on it. It was this chaotic, revolutionary thing for Japan, where it was a treasure hunt. The staff would walk through this thing, cracking open a box, putting a little sign on it, and no aisles and nothing. It was a jungle, an absolute jungle. I never went inside one, and it wasn't my part of the thing, but anyway, this was there must be documentation on this. If you look up, there must be a Wikipedia page for it or something. The fire department here, I don't know, I don't know what to think about this country sometimes. It's so well organized in some cases, and it's just, our building, 3 stories here, there's an escape on the roof. And the stairway to go up to the roof outside at the moment is covered with boxes. If this was Canada, I would be in